and gentlemen, welcome back to the Rufus Rundown. Today we have a special guest in Jake DeTerra.
How's it going?
Arsenal fan, Premier League specialist. So that's exactly what we're going to be talking about in this podcast. It's going to be a Premier League kind of preview and kind of review of what's gone on so far. So we're going to kick it off with the summer signings, who we think had the best window and who the most impactful signings are going to be.
Mm-hmm. Well, if we're going to base it off of players in and out, you could say for a club, I honestly think Arsenal had the best transfer window. They got rid of a lot of players that they needed to, and they brought in a lot of players that they needed.
I'm high-key jealous that you guys got Pepe.
Yeah, it's that he's honestly, I think he's going to be a great addition for us.
I mean, he's one of the better dribblers that I've seen come in a long time.
He had 33 goal contributions in the league last season.
Which is,
he single-handedly carried Lille to
Champions League spots.
To second place. They won the French Cup too. Oh my God! We've needed a player like that for years. We relied on a Wobie, which was for a club like us, for a club like Arsenal, just the fact that we were relying on a Wobie.
Well, you could have had Serge Gnabry, but
I mean, no. If he stayed with us, he would never have even been that good.
I know.
He would have never got the chance. I don't know. Him and Wenger just had a disagreement or something.
I've seen.
It was tough, but
I mean, it's almost like they're playing career mode. Saliba, one of the top young defenders in the world right now. I mean, they loaned him back.
I'm happy they loaned him back. I mean, he would have been a great addition for us this year, but he's only 18.
Yep, he's incredibly young, and he's not going to be able to physically hang in the most competitive league.
You give him another year at a team that loves him. He's a full-time starter there. He's their number one choice. You give him a whole nother year of experience under his belt before he comes here. That's going to make a huge difference.
I mean, he's technically, obviously, he's incredible, but it's just physically and mentally being able to prepare to play in the most competitive league in the world.
And that's another problem with Pepe. That's Pepe's problem too, is the fact that a lot of people don't know if he's physically ready for it. Because he's skinny, his legs.
He's young, and he's been playing in the Farmers League for so long.
And that's just he was able to get away with it. But when you go to the Premier League and you come up against teams like Burnley and Newcastle and stuff, who just got big defenders like Van Dijk.
Not even Van Dijk, but like teams like that, if they beat you, they're just gonna smash you in the shins.
Yeah,
they're gonna take the yellow
card.
They're
gonna
take the red card. They're gonna take their 20% possession, send long balls over the top. They're gonna throw shoulders in you and elbows and.
Yeah, so if he can. And I think he will. Emery tends to do that. He tends to get the best out of players. He tends to get them in the right state.
He knows exactly what he's doing.
Emery is a very underrated manager. I mean, I've said my fair share of things about him, but at the end of the day,
last year you were very unhappy.
Last year I was very unhappy with him, but I have confidence in him. He needed a transfer window like this to rearrange a team.
I mean, you got Reece Nelson coming back from loan, who's been, it's almost like a new signing of his own. He had a great loan spell.
He's a great. I don't think he'll start this year, considering the attacking options that we have. But I think he'll be a great player in rotation with Europa League and stuff this year and FA Cup. I think he's going to really improve overall in his game.
And then David Luiz,
yeah. So it's probably one of the weirdest signings I've ever seen. It just feels weird. I don't know how I feel about it. It just looks weird.
Like I said, it feels like career mode where you see those random signings.
Signings, exactly.
All of a sudden you just have David Luiz in an Arsenal uniform.
It's a helpful player to us because we signed Saliba and all, like we were saying, and we loaned him back. So we still needed a center back option. We didn't bring any in. And so last second, David Luiz, he's got tons of experience, all the experience you can get. He's won everything.
Premier League experience and Champions League experience.
He's still a very good player. He has his mistakes, and you could see him at Chelsea, but he's still better than 90% of the center back options that we have.
What I like about him is his confidence. I saw that pass that he made basically behind the keeper in front of the net. That whipping ball pass. I mean,
he honestly doesn't care.
And that's why I like Van Dijk so much too. I mean, I'm not going to try to compare Luiz to Van Dijk.
I know.
But it's the way that they play. They don't play like they're going to give. They don't play like they're ready to concede. Like Van Dijk's one of the most composed and relaxed defenders,
Oh, yeah.
and he's always a step away from giving up like a sure goal. Like literally, the goalie just Alisson or whoever, Adrian, whoever it may be, is just kind of chilling and just if Van Dijk's one wrong step, he's going to concede a goal. And
Yeah,
he's the same way in terms of like those ball playing center backs that have that much confidence in the ball at their feet, or especially in the Premier League now, wicked important. Setting that high back line.
And it's David Luiz. He also brings a good energy to the team too. He's a goofy guy, and he's like Aubameyang and Lacazette, and like them two. But they all fit in perfect.
He was excited to make the move, though.
Yeah,
it's not like he was forced out of Chelsea by any means.
Exactly.
Like he wanted to make that move, and I think he wants to work under Emery. So I mean, I think it's a great signing between him, Pepe, Saliba, and then like I said, I think you guys had the best window as well.
Oh yeah,
I'm definitely jealous as a Liverpool fan. Ceballos on loan.
Yeah, Ceballos on loan was a good one.
Who had an incredible...
Tierney.
Yeah, Tierney's going to be very good.
They're just... Even that kid Martinelli, he looks good. I mean, we brought in definitely a good amount of players that will help us this year.
And got out a ton of just... Whether it be retired
ton of deadwood, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, it sucks giving up... Like, Ramsey especially. Ramsey was a great player. Like, he's one of my favorite Arsenal players, like, ever.
There's some... People, like, really... If you watch, like, a highlight of best soccer goals of all time... You'd probably see 2 or 3 from Ramsey and you wouldn't even know.
Oh my goodness.
He scored some incredible goals.
He's just like, as an all-around player, he was just an engine. Every time he played, he'd have the most distance run. Every time he played, he would get back, go forward. He was just so good at everything.
Probably one of the most underrated Premier League players in a long
while. And his move to Juventus this year is going to be amazing for him.
Like people thought he was moving there as a rotational player. He's going to get a lot of first
He's gonna be a
He's
starter there.
gonna slide into that
Like he's starting over Rabiot, Emre Can. Like he's gonna start over a bunch of players.
Especially in that league where a player of that box to box midfielder style isn't really seen as much. More of a creative minded, more of like the sleek.
And now he's working with
now
he's working with Ronaldo. And he's
working
with
Dybala,
and he's got Pjanic alongside of him instead of Xhaka.
But him kind of flip-flopping in that role with Dybala being able to outwork everybody and letting Dybala kind of stay forward between him and Ronaldo and let the play to them up front. I think it's going to be incredible.
Yeah, I'm excited for that Juve team. I think they're going to win the Champions League this year. I think they're going to win.
I think if there's a year for them to do it, Ronaldo's settling into his second season now.
Yeah. I think this is going to be a big year for Juventus. A really, really big year.
So
moving on to like Chelsea. We'll talk about other teams. Chelsea's. I mean, there's not much to say about Chelsea. Just like I feel bad because they're transfer ban, and it's just kind of unfair to me. How are you going to give Chelsea a transfer ban, but you're not going to give Man City one?
Or how about when Paris Saint-Germain had actually had the transfer ban on, and they still made the biggest signing in the history of football with Neymar.
Chelsea weren't allowed to sign players. Like, remember, I don't know if you remember this, but when Barcelona went on a transfer ban a few years ago, they signed Arda Turan. And that was like a big signing at the time from Atletico and everything.
Bearded man for 1 year.
They had a transfer ban for the next 6 months. So they signed him during the transfer ban, and he wasn't allowed to play or anything. Chelsea weren't allowed to do that. Which is kind of unfair because they could have made signings this year. That would have benefited them. I mean, like, not many players are going to want to go to a team where they're not allowed to play for 6 months.
Right.
But I looked into it, they didn't even have the opportunity to do that.
And I mean, I think Lampard's going to be... what I think the good news is with Chelsea is that they have so many of those young players that they loaned out for so long back. Mason Mount working under Lampard at Derby. I mean, like I've been saying it for a while now. I think I'm going to be a closet Chelsea fan this year strictly because Pulisic's there and all these young kids. It's going to be hard for me not to root for all these young kids. It's hard not to root for,
like, Pulisic and stuff.
Pulisic and Mason Mount and players like that.
And, like, Hudson-Odoi and everything.
Yeah, especially when they get back from injury. But I think it's going to benefit, Lampard and benefit the players that they're going to be able to respond to, I think, younger players being able to respond to that younger coach that's more spontaneous and more passionate. And a guy who has had such a career history at Chelsea Football Club. I think it's going to be that he's that club legend style, that people are worried about him getting that respect. I think all the younger players know exactly, watching him as they grew up. probably for players like Mason Mount and stuff, literally that's who they wanted to be, especially in the roles they were in.
Yeah, Lampard coming in as a manager helps a lot because he understands the young players. Like he was in the youth systems himself, and what I think too is having Mason Mount like he did last year on Derby is huge because he has a lot of confidence now. Mason Mount, if he came into it like let's say Sarri was still manager, and like let's say Hazard was still on the team, and he would not have nearly as much confidence as he does, and I think it's really showing his skill. They got really unlucky against United last week.
Yep.
Because Man United plays such a counter-attacking system, and it works well a lot. They'll draw you in. They'll let you play all the possession in the world, like Chelsea likes to do. Like what Chelsea like to do, we like to do. Man City like to do. They'll let you come in, and then they'll just have Rashford, Martial, and Lingard sitting up top, and just spark a counterattack. It's hard to defend when you have those three working together. Well, I was saying this earlier. Like Lingard, I don't like Lingard as a player. I think he's terrible, but he works well in that system with Rashford and Martial because they all have that counterattack mentality. And if they could break you, if they could go down the wings and break on you like they did against Chelsea, it's dangerous.
Well, it's very similar to the Man United of old. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said that he wanted to bring in that system, and even with just for £16 million, Daniel James from Swansea City, he fits very good, especially the super sub. And no matter where you put him on that front line, he's going to be very successful. So even though they miss Ander Herrera, I think missing Ander Herrera, I think Pogba's got that elevated role that I think he's looked good in, aside from taking penalties.
Well, I mean, Pogba is the type of person that he'll play like garbage all game, and then
decide to flip.
For about 5 minutes, he'll just flip some switch, and he'll make some crazy passes, and he'll get an assist or a score. And it's just like, I don't know. I love Pogba when he was on Juventus, but I mean, he just looks like a whole new player. Like it's not in a bad way.
Yeah.
Like he looks lazy. Yep. He looks tired.
No, he just doesn't look like he
doesn't have the mentality.
He just doesn't have that engine, and he didn't even. And for what I don't understand is that we United bring in such an expensive signing in Harry Maguire, which I agree with. By the way, people were up in arms about how much they paid for Harry Maguire. I mean, between Chris Smalling and Phil Jones and players like that, I mean, if you have to overpay by Jesus, even 20-30 million paying that English tax in the PL, it's worth it. Because they've been suffering through such bad defending and just the same old for so long, sitting in 6th, 7th place, that it's almost worth biting the bullet on that.
Yeah, and it's not like they're hurting on money. Like they're Manchester United.
They're still one of the most valuable clubs in the world. They could get relegated for God's sakes, and they'll still have 200 mil to spend. Yep.
So, I actually like the fact that they went after Harry Maguire, and I like the fact that they went after Bissaka because those two are going to help them. Center back and right back were their two most vulnerable positions last year. And they just brought in, they didn't bring in many players. They brought in Daniel James, and Mason Greenwood's now he's coming up through the ranks, and they have a bunch of youth players and everything. But those three players fit their system well. They just fit United so perfectly.
And a player like Lindelof as well, who I think has good potential to send back. He's not great, he's good, but I think when you put him alongside Maguire and Wan-Bissaka, that it elevates his play as much too. I think it allows them to build chemistry and elevate their play because those two guys have had plenty of first-team minutes to go around in the Premier League, and there's plenty of trust there between the two.
I mean, I think their next position that they need to work on, the next two, I should say, is they need to get rid of Luke Shaw, or at least get him out of the first team because he spends more time at McDonald's than he does practicing soccer. So, they need to get rid of him because once they do, their whole defense would be stacked. And they need to focus on a new center mid. If you're gonna keep Pogba,
the problem is that he doesn't want to be there. I don't think he wants.
No, he doesn't want to be there.
He wanted to either go to Real, Juventus. He basically would have taken any option except going to Man United. And what I didn't understand was that for the value that he was going to get, even if you sold him for 80 to 90 million pounds.
Yeah, at least make your money back.
You know how many quality players you could bring in for that price? Like Daniel James was 16 million pounds, and he's already scored for them. I'm not. You're not going to compete for the league this year as it is, but
Yeah.
you can compete for a Champions League qualification
Yeah,
for sure.
you could work your way to it.
And you could bring in a couple of quality players. You could bring in another quality left back. You could bring in a couple of quality midfielders that you could rotate in and get comfortable with.
Well, and I think Pogba, I think he wants to stay for now to get all the attention that he can get. Because right now, and especially, I know you've been seeing this too, how Sky Sports and like Twitter and everything were like getting together for like the racial abuse that was towards Pogba. It sucks because like I'm not the biggest fan of Pogba as a player, but I mean that should just
no one deserves that.
I mean that's I think like that'll be another reason that he's gonna use.
I mean
to get out.
they're there for you.
Yeah.
I mean as a fan, you root for laundry, but your laundry really is only existed because those players are willing to play.
Yeah.
You're paying to see them. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're trying to make a living too, but they could be doing anything else. They're following their passion just as well as you're committing your passion to the team.
You do anything to get in that spot.
Exactly.
Like, how are you just gonna?
And so then be racially prejudiced against by the people that you're supposed to be supported by.
Yeah, it's just it's a whole mess.
It's a whole nother. I mean, and then it kind of. With the Kolasinac and Ozil thing as well too.
That's
the security
crazy.
Them, which is just a wild deal in its own.
Like they had nothing to do with it either. They didn't do anything to like start it. There's a gang in London. There's 2 gangs in London that have been like rivals, I guess. I read up on this, and what they were trying to do is see who could get the highest target, the highest like quality target. One of them went out, decided to go after Mesut Ozil for no reason. Kolasinac just happened to be there with him when he did it, and now they're like the 2 rival gangs are fighting over him.
Yeah, you can't even get him in the game, and that's why I legit when Ozil was linked to DC United, I thought there was a legitimate chance that he was going to make the move to what place is safer.
Yeah, then
going to
DC.
Play in the MLS, and not even that.
Nonetheless,
DC. What place is safer in the world than there for a player like that? Which would have been a shame.
Beautiful city, by the way.
He's a talented player, but I'm wishing both of them the best. It's just crazy what those players over there have to go with as opposed to over here.
Yeah.
As opposed to Russell Westbrook has to deal with a heckler once in a while, and I get that, but like. There's gangs after these guys. There's prices on their heads.
Yeah, there's prices on their heads.
And they're just trying to follow their passion and play a sport, which is just insane to me.
Yeah, that's wild. I'll never get through that. That's weird.
And then I guess we can touch on Liverpool's transfer.
Yeah, I was gonna say we could talk about Liverpool and City. I mean Liverpool. I kind of agree with what they did this year. They spent a lot of money last year, and they brought in some key players. Obviously. Their squad at the end of last season was like untouchable. Like why would you want to take anyone out of that team? Why would you want to replace anyone?
There's only one.
There was such a good connection, such a good vibe going on in that play in Liverpool, and obviously the quality is more than there. I mean, their front 3 is ridiculous. Their back line is ridiculous.
I mean, then you have the perfect super sub, the 2 super subs really, in Wijnaldum and Origi that can come on.
Exactly, and in the midfield, Henderson and Wijnaldum are like, and Fabinho. Fabinho was one of the outstanding last year.
He really doesn't. The statistics don't support.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're not going to see him show up on the stat sheet, but he's one of the best holding midfielders in the world. At this current second.
I think in terms of talent, Henderson is not the most talented, but he is a workhorse.
And he's not gonna. And he's not gonna play in a lot of the games and like the Norwich games and stuff like that. He'll come on.
Like you have rotation. Like you have a good rotation.
But during the big games, there's no better person I'd want out there.
Because he loves
wearing that armband. He will put everything into it, and that just the connection those guys have. I mean, even when Van Dijk was wearing the armband and Henderson checked on just last week, Van Dijk took the armband off and was set to give it to Henderson, and Henderson said, "Don't worry about it. It's going to leave it off." And that's just, I mean, between him and Milner as vice captain and captain, I mean, those guys are certainly not the most talented.
James Milner. I don't understand how he has gotten. He just won a champion. He just started in the Champions League final last year.
I think his body fat percentage is probably less than like 1%.
He's got the body of Ronaldo.
That dude is.
He's just the English Ronaldo, I guess. in terms of body.
Amen to that. But, I mean, even Oxlade-Chamberlain and stuff, it's almost like these guys that were injured last year, if they can maintain their health, like a midfield between Keita, Oxlade-Chamberlain, and Fabinho, I mean, I'd really like to see stuff like that because you have a lot of options. If those guys can stay healthy, there's a lot of options you can run through and out. And there's some depth there that a lot of people are like, well, we didn't add to the depth of the squad. They're upset with the window. But I kind of sat back and accepted and said, if there's any moves that need to be made, Klopp's going to make them, but he's not going to make them this summer. I think he's pretty much set on them right now. But if any injuries or stuff happen, the winter window is always there.
Yeah.
So between, Joe Gomez, Lovren might be in his way out, but still, you get Joe Gomez when he's healthy, can play right back or center back, because Alexander-Arnold hasn't looked good defensively so far.
I mean, he's never been great defensively. That's never been his strong suit.
It's been really, really woeful so far, though.
I'm not taking anything away from Trent. I think he's a top 2 right back in the world. I think he's the best right back in the Premier League. But in terms of defending, it's not a strong suit. Attacking, you won't find a right back. It's very rare to find a right back,
especially
like
with the system that Liverpool run between
how
we play with a high back line.
Him and Robertson that's like the best fullback duo, I think, in the world.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
Well,
you could argue if Man City decide to play Cancelo on the left,
which I'm hoping he's on my fantasy Premier League team. I'm hoping Cancelo plays left back, and I'm.
But if they have that,
biased.
fullback duo, I think they'll compete. Like, those two are top 2.
And I guess we can just touch on Man City now as well while we're on the subject of bringing in arguably one of the best fullbacks in the world right now.
I mean, you're talking about one of the best overall squads probably of all time. Like, this squad, I think, is up there with, like, the best Barcelona teams and Real Madrid teams. And
even the
best Man United
Ronaldo,
teams,
Ryan Giggs, Wayne Rooney.
the names are bigger at United just because they were all there for most of their careers, for like Giggs and Scholes and everything. I mean, but in terms of talent, right now that Man City team has, De Bruyne, Sané's hurt, and they still have as many options as you can count. Gabriel Jesus, Aguero, Sterling.
Even Zinchenko's been very good.
Zinchenko, it's like, and it all comes down to Pep. Pep is like, he makes everyone robots. He has systems that work so perfectly.
Just as Klopp does with he has his own.
Exactly. But the thing is, Pep Guardiola has about 5 or 6 of them.
As opposed to one Jurgen pressing style, he has so many.
He has he can go 3 in the back, 4 in the back. He could put 3 up top, 2 up top. It doesn't matter. And they all turn into robots. It blows my. Kevin De Bruyne is on his day the best attacking midfielder in the world.
And then David Silva's going to be not even be at the club next year.
He's. I've never been a big fan of that. He's fit well in that system. I mean, he tried his best to look exactly like Pep. Guess he wants to be Pep when he grows up, but I think he's old. He's past it. His prime was about 3 years ago. But I'm not. He's a great player, but he's not good enough for that Man City team. They have way stronger options.
Like Rodri, who they just
their new signing Rodri. He came out of the blue, but he has looked so good these last 2 games for them. Especially in the Tottenham game, I feel like he played really well.
He's very impressive in that link-up play.
Oh my god, he's a perfect midfielder
composed for that. In the center of the park, being able to link one of the best, not one, but 2 front threes in the world. Like
their second team would finish in the top 4.
That's what Mourinho was saying. Jose Mourinho said the top 4 teams in the Premier League were Man City, Liverpool, Tottenham, and Man City's second team, which I really can't argue with.
I can't. That's 100% true. If they have so much squad depth, it's like, and Phil Foden too.
Foden's on his way up to replace David Silva.
He's a good player. He's a little overhyped just because I think it's the whole Man City youngster English.
There's not really ever really been a Man City youngster to come up through the ranks.
Yeah, you never really see it
because they're all brought in now. And people say that it's ruined football and everything, and they've brought. But it's not like they spent $300 million in one transfer window. This has been built over time between the Kyle Walkers and the squad that's been built over time. Like it's.
I mean, they did spend a lot of money at once. Like these past few years. This year I'm pretty sure they only brought in like 3 or 4
just
people.
Rodri, Consuelo.
But
and
those
they
are
got
their
Rodrigo.
2 big names.
Yep.
But the thing is, they also got money back.
Exactly.
Like, they saved so much money on the Cancelo deal by giving them their backup right back.
Danilo, and then also selling Delph.
Selling Delph.
Companies out in the free. They financially, they're still. It's not like
Money's not running out anytime soon.
I know they're not running out, but it's not. There's still financial fair play, and they're still able to stay within that.
Yeah.
So it's still kind of impressive to me,
Mm-hmm.
the depth they're able to build. So I guess while we're talking about our top 4, with Man City finishing fourth with their second team, we can get into our top 6 predictions.
Okay, so I think Man City are winning the league again. I don't think any I don't think there's a way.
As it is, I mean, unless we were to go ahead and say the Champions
You
League
have
and
to
FA
score.
Cup,
You have to put up 100 points to beat Man City. Man City,
which we almost did, but that was with just absolutely mad.
That's something. The past 2 years, Man City broke the record. They got 102, and then they got 100. The past 2 years, they've broken the scoring record. They broke their own scoring record last year. Liverpool have the 3rd highest point tally ever in the Premier League, and they didn't even win it. It's Liverpool. I don't think Liverpool are gonna put up 97
they
points again.
They
can.
I mean, they can, but it's the amount of things that had to go right. Just aside from the Barcelona game alone, winning 4.
There were so many things that just went right for you. Like it was like I don't know how it happened, but it did. I'm not taking anything away from it.
No,
it's just there was so many things where it's like wow.
We had a season of destiny. Not saying that we don't have talent in the squad and we still can't finish with 80-something points, which in most years would compete for that first spot. Just hanging around high 80s to 90s. We have a season of destiny where we have the 3rd best season in Premier League history, only behind Man City's record-breaking year, just behind this one as well. We had a season of destiny, we still finished 2nd.
Yeah.
I mean, the Champions League, nice and all. I'm definitely not going to bitch and moan about the Champions League. But to be that good and have so many things go right and even just so much luck at certain times and still not even be good enough, it's incredible. And they've added to the squad. Between Rodri and Consuelo. We didn't really add anything.
It's just a matter of if Oxlade-Chamberlain can stay fit. I say this every year because he comes. It's the same thing every year.
Arsenal fan.
Yeah, and I've been through it. I watched him for 4 or 5 years. He has like a cycle, so he'll come back at the beginning of the season like this, and he did this last year too.
A little slow, do some.
And he'll come back slow, but then he'll catch fire, and he'll get all hot, and then all of a sudden, boom, season-ending injury. It's happened 5 times in his career, and it just feels like a never-ending cycle. So if he can somehow manage to stay fit, he will be a great addition, you could say, to your squad.
The same thing with Origi, and the same thing with Joe Gomez. Players like that were either hurt or just weren't on the scene that are now, tenfold better.
Regular rotating players.
Listen, Origi's just
Origi comes off the bench every game.
If Sturridge did half of what Origi did, I'd have been happy with that depth.
He just went to Turkey.
He did. Went to Trabzonspor.
Yep.
But
just made that signing today.
Yep. He was at the Madeira Feast in New Bedford.
Yeah, he was. I heard about that. I wasn't there, but
no, I saw Josh.
Michael Garcia took a picture of it.
Yeah, he sent me a picture. I was like, "What in the world's going on in New Bedford right now? Why is Daniel Sturridge there?" But I mean, if he had done if so many of those guys, even Shaqiri had done half of that production, I'd have been ecstatic. Origi's could probably fit into the top first 11 of any other squad in the Premier League right now outside of us and Man City. Maybe not Arsenal either because you guys.
I think any side outside the top 6.
Inside that, yeah. And then like I said, Man City easily. Maybe not easily, but it should be easily. Unless Liverpool are gonna have to go.
They're gonna have to turn on a whole new mode.
I mean, we lost one game last year. One game we lost.
Well, it's crazy that you guys were 9 points up at around Christmas time last year. And Man City still managed to get back.
And what it was is just like we were mentioning before, the squad depth.
They just have everyone.
And then Champions League football came around, and that's when we started to fall off and draw against teams like Everton and stuff like that. It's unfortunate.
Top 6 predictions. We never really said them.
Man City 1, Liverpool 2, Arsenal 3 for me. I'd go Tottenham 4, Man United 5, I think Wolves are going to break into the top 6 at 6.
Yeah, I think it goes Man City, Liverpool, 1 and 2. And then I think Tottenham will still finish 3rd. I think we'll get the 4th spot. I think Man U will finish 5th. And I think Leicester are going to finish 6th.
James Maddison's a good player.
And then Chelsea, Wolves, and it really, honestly.
Everton too. I think Everton should be able to start to compete a little bit. They should. They should at least.
I mean, they look good defensive. They look really solid defensively in their opening 2 games. It's just a matter if they can get that front line going. They have the talent there. Their front line is going to be kind of like ridiculous this year. I think Richarlison will start up top. I think they'll have Iwobi, Sigurdsson, and Bernard. That's a good front 4 to work with. It's not. I don't think it's good enough to get into the top 6 yet.
But it'll certainly keep you in contention.
I think they will stay.
And that's considering if everybody stays healthy too. If that top 4 stays healthy, and say James Maddison goes down or Anthony Martial goes down, that totally changes the picture. But assuming that everybody stays healthy, which is what we're making our predictions.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that squad could easily move into the top 6 depending on the health of teams like Manchester United and Arsenal and Tottenham. And like I was saying to you before, I think Arsenal, if Arsenal were to say, you know, we don't want the Europa League, if they were to just play their second team for the Europa League, even the FA Cup, I think maybe competing for the league, like I said, maybe that's a stretch. But you guys could certainly compete if you just strictly focused on the Premier League. I think you could compete for the title, if not the 2-spot, definitely the 2-spot.
It comes down to squad depth, too.
Which as of right now,
realistically, with our defense, I mean, when it's fully fit, it's a different story. But we don't know how. Like Tierney and Holding, they're good on their day, but I've never really watched Tierney play, like in an actual game before. Holding, he's done this before, and he came back after his injury, and he wasn't that great last time. So I hope it's different this time. Bellerin, I mean, he was out for 3 months before he re-injured himself on the game back.
Yeah.
And he did it again, and he was out for what? It's been 6-7 months now, 8 months.
You just hope that this time
I just hope that this time everyone can stay healthy. Tierney's known to be injury prone. That's why he had such a little price tag.
But even Monreal's looked good so far this year.
I mean, yeah, Monreal's kind of just like all reliable in a sense. Like, he's a great squad player, but you don't want him as a regular starter.
And like we were mentioning Ozil and Kolasinac, I think Kolasinac is a great weapon at left back. He's not like a lot of left backs. He's got a different play style. He's a very strong player. He's not the quickest fullback, but he
makes a lot of mistakes. In terms of knowing the game, that's where he lacks. He has the physicality, he has the shooting ability.
He has all the physical ability.
He has all of it. But I feel like when you watch him, he doesn't know the game that well, and it feels like, in a sense.
He's just kind of a brute.
He just kind of he runs around with his head down.
Which is fine, because there's certain players in the world right now, like Virgil van Dijk, that have that pace, have that strength, and
he knows the game.
And he knows the game, but even knowing that, he sometimes makes the wrong decision, but he makes those decisions and takes those risks knowing that his recovery is going to be very good because of how physically adept he is to the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think Kolasinac doesn't really have like the idea of that, and he just kind of wings it out there with his physical ability.
I mean, yeah, I like him. I would want that to be my backup left back. Like, I say we get rid of Monreal while we can. Like, I love him and all. He's honestly the longest serving player at our club right now, which is kind of crazy. But he's just, I think he's past it. Like, we saw his best years already. So I say we send him back to Spain or something. I think he'll like it there.
Valencia,
something like that. He'll fit in great there.
Yeah.
But going back to top 6, though, like you said, it all comes down to who stays fit. And it's just, you can't really predict it yet. And it comes down to Wolves, too. Wolves, they play great against the top 6, but then they'll go to they'll go to fucking Cardiff away.
Well, that's where the youth
and they'll get
that's
smacked.
where the youth
like
comes
4,
in, and it's a sign of a weak team because of the fact that even like high school teams and stuff growing up when I was playing, it's like it's fine. You can play, go up, you show up big games, win big games, cool, get your names in the paper and everything. And the next week when you play the team that's worse, you play down on them. It's not you're not a mentally strong team. So that's why I think a lot of the youth comes into play with Wolves between Catrone, Adama, Jerome Latino are really the only veteran in the side.
Yeah.
So I mean, you'd have to hope that players like him and Patricio and Net are able to kind of take more accountability, take more leadership in the side between Jota, Raul Jimenez, and
I think Raul Jimenez is a great player for them. Like him and Jota work well together. They've had a rough start offensively. Because I think they drew both their opening games. I think that they tied against Everton in their opening game 0-0. And then
tied United, yep, and they were 0-0. They drew 0-0 with Leicester.
Oh, it was Leicester. That's what it was. And then they drew with United. They played well against United. They had a rough start, but they ended up. They looked solid defensively too in that second half.
Which is more of the worry with me. I think that offensively it will come and they can explode on offense, but it's just a matter of not playing down to the competition.
Oh, when it comes to Wolves though, like they're the Doherty and Willie Bolly and Johnny, they're all solid. Like they're all very solid. It's just that their midfield and their attack lets them down sometimes, and they won't be able to score.
It's just the link up. It's not that they don't have the talent. It's just
100%.
The ability to go from point A to point B to defense.
And that's why I feel like they'll never I don't think they'll finish in the top 6 this year. I think if anyone is, it's going to be Leicester.
Should be.
I mean, nothing against. I think Chelsea just are not a good spot right now. I think they're in a good spot to set up their future. I think this year they're not. I don't think they're going to finish in the top 6, but it's going to be a big year for kids like Mason Mount and Hudson-Odoi when he gets back. Loftus-Cheek, Tammy Abraham, and they still loaned out a bunch of their players, a bunch of their good youth players. It's going to be. They're going to be a fun team to watch when they're on their day, but they're not going to put up the point tally that they.
And I would love for them to. I mean, I hate saying that, but I really would love for Chelsea to make a push for top. I
do not mind Chelsea at all. I actually kind of like their squad.
I mean, I think that what helps them is having a player like Giroud up front, able to, with him and Pedro up front, are really going to allow Pulisic to do his thing, and Tammy Abraham to get not have to play full 90-minute matches and players like Mount. I think having those two veterans up front is really going to benefit the younger players like Mount and like Pulisic, and then having a player behind you for Mount with Conte. I mean, not like I said, not this year, but surely this
it's a big stepping stone towards the future that they want.
And it allows you, for what Klopp did with Liverpool in the beginning, where he didn't make a lot of moves right off the bat. He let those guys roll, let those guys play the way they needed to play, and figured out exactly what he had in his squad and what adjustments he had to make. And he knew that defense was one of the biggest things, and he brings in the most expensive defender in the world at the time, in Virgil van Dijk, and it's worked. So I think that this transfer ban is actually a good thing for Chelsea. So Lampard can figure out exactly what he has. Is Mason Mount the real deal?
Yeah,
so if you can get
he
Mason,
can really work with his squad that he has right now and see what I need to change, because it's like a fresh start.
Right.
And
you'd have to
as much as it sucks that they got rid of Hazard, it's not a bad thing, because now that how much money they have saved up now from that.
It's at least £100+ million.
Yeah, and so they have that to spend on their whole. You could buy a whole new squad with £120 million.
But you're not gonna. I don't think they're going to have to. I think it's going to be one or two pieces away. Players like
I know, but
and defenders and stuff like that. Because I think Kep is a great goalkeeper as well.
I like Kep, but Azpilicueta, I think if he's going to play anywhere, he needs to play center back. He's not a right back.
No.
He used to be able to, but he's not. He just adjusted to center back.
So you think if
I like Christensen, I like Rudiger. They need a new left back, because I think getting Alonso out of the first team was a good move, but a lot of Chelsea fans like Emerson just because of the fact that he's better than Alonso.
But he's still not that great.
He's not the greatest left back in the world. They could get much better, but I think they're happy that it's just anybody but Alonso. And I think Emerson is good going forward, but sometimes
he was mainly a wingback when he did his time with Roma.
Yeah, and he definitely not. He's like a Trent. Like, he's very focused on going forward.
He's just not as good as Trent.
He's just not like. Yeah, obviously, but I don't know. I think Chelsea, this is a big rebuilding year for them.
Yeah, and I think that they're totally content with that fact. And I don't know how the Champions League's going to go for them. I don't think I'd worry too much about it. And I hope that they give Lampard at least 2 to 3 years here to work it out. I hope hopefully he's not on.
I hope it works out for him.
He's not on some sort of short leash. I would find it insane for him to actually be on a short leash, considering the fact that he hasn't been able to bring any players in for the first year.
I think they would have signed a bigger name in terms of manager
if it wasn't for that transfer ban.
If they wanted to find like something to change quickly.
Yeah.
I think they're ready to go into a rebuilding phase, and I think that's like everyone at Chelsea, the board, they all want to go through a rebuilding phase, and that's why they brought in Lampard.
As opposed to manager running through between Conte, Sarri, Mourinho.
They know
they have a guy that they can build like a FSG in a sense, or Arsene Wenger in a sense. I think they see Lampard as he's a former club legend. Players are always going to respect him, and now you have his time to build.
Well, they didn't want a short-time thing, so they wanted to bring in Lampard, who, even when the results aren't there this year because they're going through it...
Fans will have faith.
Fans will still have faith because it's Frank Lampard. If you brought in a big name, like, say, like another Maurizio Sarri type of player, like, even like a Simeone or...
They'd expect results
Fans would expect results right away. That's because that's the way they've been for so long. You brought in Conte, you brought in Sarri, you had Mourinho, like you had all these managers who were focused on winning now, and the fans adapted to that. All right, look what happened. Conte won the league in his first season, and then the next season
battled relegation for a period of time,
and then the next season that was it. He was gone. It's just they're so focused on, they were so focused on winning now, and now they're transforming into a, all right, let's save up, let's build towards later, and I like that because I think they needed that.
So we're gonna move on to the upcoming Premier League fixtures, if I can pull them up here. But obviously the big one coming up this weekend with Arsenal and Liverpool. You scared, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, I think both teams are a little scared because I think the game is gonna be like, I think it's gonna end like 5-3 or something crazy.
I mean,
like, our defense is gonna let us down. I know they will.
Adrian might have 2 howlers at this point.
We both are going through injuries. We both don't have our official starting 11.
Because I know Liverpool is not fit.
It's a very unpredictable game because sometimes Aubameyang and Lacazette, and it depends who we play. If we start Mkhitaryan, the game's over from before it even started. You might as well just start Pepe. Just start him, see how he does. I know it's just anything but Mkhitaryan. Mkhitaryan is like the worst soccer player I think I've ever seen in the world. Last game against Burnley, he put up one of the worst performances I've ever seen.
Ugly.
If he gets in the starting 11 at Anfield the week after, I'm gonna lose my mind. And that's I could see it happening, you know. I feel like we'll start people like Mkhitaryan and we'll start people like Joe Willock. Nothing against Joe Willock, he's been great the first 2 games, but you can't just throw him in
He's not going to be mentally ready to play at Anfield, and even players in the past have said that it's just mentally the most, you cannot prepare for the environment that you're going to experience at Anfield, no matter what level of play you are.
It would just make sense, right, for us to start Socrates and David Luiz. Those are our 2 best center back options. But something Emery would do is he'd take out David Luiz and he'd put in Chambers for that game. For who knows why? Who knows what made him make that choice? But that's something he would do. And I'm scared that it's going to happen because if he does that, then we're going to smack 5-1 again. Watch him start Mustafi.
I mean, I don't think Liverpool's fit yet either. I mean, to think of it, the way I looked at it was, you had the Champions League, and then the Copa America, and the Super Cup now, and everything like that, and you had the UEFA Nations League. So Van Dijk played in the Nations League, Firmino, Salah played in the AFCON.
Yep.
Firmino played in the Copa America. Fabinho, I don't think Fabinho.
Ronaldo
was in the mixed round.
there
Yeah, Ronaldo was in the UEFA Nations League. there's Trent and Joe Gomez. I think we're both in the U21s. I know Trent was at least playing the U21s, Euros. I mean, we're not fit right now. It's just how it is. And you can see it. I mean, the second half, we know how to turn it. We're a second half team right now, strictly because I think that we're pacing ourselves in the first half. We look sloppy in the first half, but all of a sudden you bring on Firmino, you bring on Wijnaldum, you bring on certain plays in the second half, and all of a sudden, it's a totally different game.
Well, I feel like your most vulnerable spot based on their opening 2 games has been your defense, and you've gotten away with it considering that the opponents are Norwich and Southampton. But I feel like now you got an actual attack, a good attack coming at you. It's going to be a big test for Liverpool's defense so far because, like I said, that was the most vulnerable position.
And I'd like this, and I'm not even sure if it's the time now where I'd ask to see. I think Gomez is better as a center back, but Trent's going to have to prove himself at right back this game. I don't think there's any way you don't play Trent to take advantage of your defense. I just hope that he's at least semi-decent going back this game.
I mean, even if you wanted to, also, you could start Fabinho at center back if you really wanted to.
I mean, I've been kind of on that for a while, like a 5 at the back with Fabinho, Gomez, Van Dijk, and then
Trent and Robertson on the wing backs.
On the wing backs, because you could play Fabinho in that more elevated center back role.
Man City did that
at the tip of the point.
Man City did that with Fernandinho.
And then you could play Van Dijk and Gomez on those outer center back sides to kind of make up for that pace that maybe when Alexander-Arnold and Andrew Robertson get forward too much. And I'm not saying we won't see that this year because there's probably a good chance that we may. I mean, it's how I would. I mean,
it's just it all comes down to if Joe Gomez stays fit, and fitness is such a key part of a year. One major injury, and your whole year changes. So it's early. We're still in August. We got our season last until May. So it all depends on who could stay fit during that long season, in terms of long term. But I would start Joe Gomez with Van Dijk, and then I put Robertson, Trent in the midfield. I put Fabinho, Henderson. Is Henderson fit?
Henderson's fit. He just, they've been kind of rotating guys in Ox to get fit. Cates is not fit. I know Cates had a muscle injuries in training, which is unfortunate because he's a really creative player in the field that I really want to see some of, but wasn't able to get into a groove last year, and he's been injured ever since.
And I think Wijnaldum has to start. Wijnaldum in big games at home is a completely different player than Wijnaldum away.
I kind of agree with that. I think that your best bet might be to start Ox with Henderson, elevated in front of Fabinho, and then at halftime, if you need to bring on Wijnaldum for Oxlade-Chamberlain, if say Oxlade-Chamberlain has a good at the moment or anything like that, you can make that adjustment at halftime. And I think that the same goes for Origi because Mane had that banger last week. I think Mane's been one of the best players.
I think Mane's the most talented player in Liverpool.
I think Firmino might be the most. I'm not. Talent's a tough word. I think Firmino really can do just about anything in that team. But I mean, so can Mane. It's really tough with the front line depth that we have.
Mane, attacking wise, is one of the most dangerous wingers in the world.
I mean, with the way he's played in this calendar year, he has the most goals in the Premier League.
Yeah. In
just this calendar year, alone. I mean, it's incredible the statistics that he's been able to put up quietly with no penalties taken. I think it's.
He's not even the main man in the squad. Like Salah is technically the main man.
Who right now is not finishing well, but still looks very, very good.
I mean, Salah's always going to get... He's going to get 10 chances a game. Even if he finished 2 of them, he still has 2 goals.
Right. And that's been... I've seen people kind of chirping it like, oh, Salah's a product of Klopp's system. He's a product of Klopp's system. That's a true statement.
Oh, yeah.
Why are we going to fault players for fitting into systems? Because don't we chirp the other... How about players that don't fit into systems, that are flops because they can't fit into systems? They go somewhere else and they succeed back in their own league. We criticize those players like crazy. Why are we going to criticize a player for fitting into a coach's system?
Yeah,
that has never made sense to me. Like, Alexis is going to leave Man United, he's going to go to Inter, and he's going to dominate. He's going to be an incredible winger again. And we're going to fault Alexis for being... I mean,
that's debatable.
Maybe not dominate, but he's going to do a hell of a lot more than he did at Man United.
Oh yeah, I mean it doesn't take much to do more than what he did at Man United.
But he might not show shades of his Arsenal self, but he's been criticized so hard, and rightfully so, for not being able to fit into the system there. but he's going to go elsewhere. People are not even going to know the difference.
Oh, yeah.
They're not going to criticize him. They're going to be like, oh, he's back to his normal self. That's why I've never agreed with criticizing a player fitting into a system, because it's hard. It's hard to come to a new club and just fit right into a system as well as Salah has and as well as Mane has and stuff. To buy in is tough. Because look at Pogba. Pogba hasn't succeeded nearly as much at United as he has at Juventus, and he's receiving a lot of the shit for it.
Mm-hmm.
But if he were to go back to Juventus or Real and dominate, no one would even remember.
I'd like Pogba again.
Exactly.
I like Pogba again, 100%.
That's why I've just never agreed with really overly criticizing a player for, not criticizing, but like it's unfair to take away what these players do in these systems, because we freaking throw players under the bus so quick when they don't fit into a system. Why are we going to take it away? Why are we going to take away statistics and take away performances from a player for fitting in?
Yeah, it's kind of.
It's silly to me.
People judge so quickly, and they base. And people will find an excuse to judge off of anything. They'll judge a player for being good. They'll judge a player for being bad. They'll judge a player for what he does outside of soccer. Like, it's just you're gonna get judged if you're in the spotlight like that now. Now with today's generation, you're gonna get judged.
And that's the one legitimate gripe that I've had with becoming a soccer fan in recent years. For one of the main reasons why I have become a soccer fan. Back, 7th, 8th grade soccer, back then. It's one of my main, a lot of other sports, like baseball, me personally, I even respect Aaron Judge. I have my fantasy team, I have to, but I respect Aaron Judge as a player, and even though it's Red Sox, Yankees and stuff, I respect talent. I'm not gonna hate on, I don't just outright hate a club, everybody's like, oh, Lingard shite, he's really not that bad. Is he as hyped up as Man United's fan base likes him to be? No, but coming from a Liverpool fan, and I'm not going to go out here and say that I'd want him in my squad, but if he fit in as well at Liverpool as he does with those front two between Rashford and Martial, with that front line,
squad player.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? If I could find a player just like that from whatever club that fit in just as well as Salah and Mane with us.
Yeah.
Why am I'm not gonna go out there and say he's shit just because he plays for a team that I'm not supposed to
no,
like.
I know.
I feel and that's my only gripe with soccer fan base in general is I feel a lot of times there's not a lot of respect for ability or respect for talent. A lot of fans are just quick to be like, he's no good because he went to my rival, and it frustrates me a little bit because I'm a intelligent human being. I like to have an intelligent conversation. I like to. I'm not an Arsenal fan, but I'm jealous. You guys had the best window by far.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna just because I'm a Liverpool fan be like, Arsenal and Pepe's gonna be a flop because we didn't sign him.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be that guy. I'm jealous. Or Bruno Fernandes if he'd actually gone to United or whatever. I want a Bruno Fernandes. I think Bruno Fernandes would have been fantastic in our system.
Oh yeah.
Box to box.
He's disgusting. He could do everything.
His technical ability aside, just
you wouldn't even remember Wijnaldum if he came into the squad.
Just physically alone, his pace, box to box, as a central guy, is just absolutely incredible.
Oh yeah.
Between him and Fabinho pivoting and then getting the ball up to Firmino, just insane.
Yeah.
It would have been incredible. I wish we had the money to make the signing, but I wouldn't have been all over him had he transferred to. Man United or Tottenham. That's the only thing that frustrates me with
Tottenham had a good window too.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about Lo Celso coming in, being able to. If they are able to keep Eriksen, that's going to be huge. If they don't sell Eriksen off, which it doesn't seem like they're going to.
Yeah, he hasn't played yet though, has he? I don't know. It's kind of weird. He always starts off wicked slow, he doesn't play the first few games, and then all of a sudden. Around October, November, he just shoots up and goes boom.
Son's a great player. Ever since even at Leverkusen, he's a terrific player. And we were talking about fitness earlier, if he can stay healthy and Harry Kane can stay healthy.
Harry Kane he looked a shell of himself last year.
And he still
put up numbers.
So when Harry Kane's in hurricane form.
Yeah. It can be dangerous. I'm on my fantasy this year.
You got to think of Lucas Moura too as their own Divock Origi.
Lucas Moura he's the super sub of
super subs.
And he's okay with it.
Yeah, and that's the thing is
even at Man City last week, he came on. What was it? 30 seconds later, off a corner.
But it's like certain players in baseball that are able to be pinch. Not everybody can be a pinch hitter. You can be the best hitter in baseball, and you can pinch hit.
Yeah.
And you can struggle in your career as a pinch hitter. All these sports are so mentally challenging in their own ways that there's just only. I mean, regardless of your talent and your physical ability. Mm-hmm. There's still a mental approach that you need to possess to be able to do certain things. And I'm like players like Origi and Mora right now are totally into being that super sub.
Oh, yeah.
Knowing they only have 30 to 40 minutes, but they're able to sell out for that 30 to 40
Tottenham
minutes.
fans look at Lucas more like a club legend because he scored that goal against Ajax.
Yeah.
Like, they love him. So, he's chilling there. He likes it. I mean, I don't think Tottenham are going to win anything anytime soon. But
I mean, and they have a good center back rotation too between Vertonghen, although he was at left back recently.
Vertonghen, did he start against Man City?
Left back instead of left back.
Yeah.
It's awkward. It needs to be him and Alderweireld and then Davison Sanchez rotating it. But
I mean, but the thing is though, their left backs are like.
Danny Rose isn't terrible.
Danny Rose isn't terrible, but he's not good enough to challenge for the league.
Yeah.
And their
but
right
that's why they brought in
Serge Aurier and Kyle Walker-Peters, like.
But that's why they brought in
decent right backs. Yeah, Sessegnon, but also another player that's not going to win your title.
No,
and that's what they should
not
be.
Yet. You never know what Poch can do. Because Poch has really never.
I know he was at Fulham last year, and I know Fulham were not great, but he did not look like he was ready at all for the Premier League.
But if there's a certain amount of managers that out of faith and that are able to raise the bar for a level of play from a player. If there's anyone that can do it, it's Poch.
Yeah.
I think if there's anybody that can take a young kid like that and turn him into world class, between Klopp, Emery right now, I think has got incredibly undervalued because of how rough his start at your Arsenal was.
Oh my
last
God,
year.
his squad when he got it last year was so bad.
And just
Our starting center backs, and at the beginning of last year, before Socrates started playing, was Mustafi and Koscielny. It was bad. And then we had Maitland-Niles and Monreal.
Really turned into a very good
Maitland-Niles has turned into a good right back. But it's disappointing because I just want Bellerin to be back. Also because I miss Bellerin and all.
I'd like to see Maitland-Niles get a shot in the midfield though.
I was just about to say that. I want to see him be able to get a chance at center mid. Him and Guendouzi would work so well together. Him, Guendouzi, and Ceballos is like our future, could be our future 3 midfield.
I mean, you have to think so, right? I mean,
I don't know. Ceballos, there's rumors that he just wanted to come here as like a stepping stone to work his way up in Real Madrid. But the way he's acting towards like Arsenal right now, it's like he looks like so far he wants to be here. We got a long year ahead. Things can change, but it's a good start.
It's not like there's not a good past history of Real Madrid players that have come to Arsenal. Mesut had
Ozil, when he first got here, was ridiculous.
Amazing when he came here with Sanchez. So there's been
he should have broke the assist record.
I mean, there's been pretty recent, good recent history of La Liga players to come over to Premier League and succeed.
Mm-hmm. I think he could be really good for us. It's just a matter of, I don't know what the price tag is. Because if he balls out this year, Real Madrid are going to set a high price tag. Which is great for you guys,
but the price tag's going to be ridiculous. So
if we can get Champions League, it'll be great. Because then we'll have the money for it.
You have even more of the added funds for it, which...
That's what I was so scared about.
You guys only had a limited budget this year, but it really wasn't... I don't think it was what it was said to the press that it was. I think that...
We signed Nicolas Pepe in installments.
Yeah, I know it's installments, but ownership came and said, we have £45 million. You guys were willing to spend much more. The budget was much higher than that, but just to avoid all of the media speculation, everybody took all those rumors as hearsay, because how are you supposed to do this without the budget? Well, there's only a certain price you pay up front, one.
Yep.
And two, you probably had a bigger budget than that, but it was only... That's the number that was given to the press, so it kind of... A lot of those rumors were stemmed away because... Nobody believed you guys could actually pay for it.
Oh, yeah. And the installments thing is, it's good for us because we probably did have around 50 mil, 60 mil to spend up front. And we just threw 20 here and we'll say, all right, we'll pay you 20 next year. And then we'll pay you 15 a year after that, or vice versa. And it's good because I think it means that we're confident that we can finish in the Champions League this year, so we can get more money to pay those people after. And it
And still have the ability to bring in more players.
still have the ability to bring in
for
more
that.
players with it. I think it's a great move for us, and like I said with earlier, Saliba, like he'll be a great signing. We paid 30 mil for him, and that'll be a bargain in no time. But other games this week, Norwich and Chelsea. They're playing at Norwich. Pookie is dangerous, but he looked like their only threat. If Chelsea can manage to shut down him, I think they'll be okay. They played very well against Leicester. They just, towards the end, it looks like they were running out of gas. They were getting out.
I mean, Norwich's second half against us was something to kind of. I mean,
Norwich looked good though.
Very
Norwich
good
are
in the
promising.
second half, and it looks more like they're one of the teams that might be able to stay up and stay, as opposed to the first half where they looked awful. And it's even more of a testament to the way they were able to respond. Everton, Aston Villa on Friday. I'm hoping either Moise Kean or Wesley, personally for me, can break onto the score sheet somehow. Moise Kean less likely. Wesley, if him and Jack Grealish could get a little something going, I mean, right? You'd have to imagine.
Aston Villa have looked unlucky.
Yeah.
They played very well. They played very well against Tottenham,
But,
but they
like,
got very unlucky.
I'd like to see.
They played well against Bournemouth, but it was just a little too late.
Tyrone Mings has looked good. Matt Targett's there has had plenty of experience. But I'd really like to see a connection between Grealish and Wesley.
Yeah, that and McGinn is good too. They're number 7.
I think Villa. I mean, to see 2 or 3 promoted sides there would be kind of wild, but I think it's a good possibility.
Oh yeah, this year would be the year to do it. Norwich look good. Sheffield, I think, will get relegated.
Yeah, they just don't. They don't have it as a
They just don't have it in them.
magical as it was.
But in terms of Norwich and Aston Villa,
Yeah,
I think Newcastle are in deep danger to go down.
Newcastle because it made no sense to me that they said Rafa Benitez left because he wanted more of an ability to spend and buy and bring in who he wanted to, and then he left.
Yeah.
And then they spent $60 million on Joeliton and brought
Saint
in
Maximin.
and after selling out Jose Perez, Saint Maximin and Saint Maximin's a great player. Has the most dribbles completed in all of the
Yeah,
top
but
leagues
you
in
could
England.
tell he just off of his opening, little
He's
cameo
overwhelmed.
that he put. You could tell he's a very direct, like an Adama Traore type of player. Very direct, but his end product just isn't there yet. Maybe if he could work on it,
Iwobi.
it's like a Wobie
Yes.
type of. He's a better dribbler than a Wobie.
He can do 90%.
Yeah, he'll do all the hard work to get there, but when it comes to actually finishing it off, he can't. Looks like he can't do it.
So I think Southampton. I don't know where they lie.
They play Brighton, hot Brighton this week.
And Brighton look like they're going to stay up. A lot of people thought that Brighton were going to go back down, but Brighton are on fire right now.
I don't know how, but they're staying up. They're managing. They're going through it right now.
Palace,
Things
I
are
think.
working.
Palace, I think.
I think Man United
down.
are gonna. I think they'll beat Palace. Palace will not look great this year.
No, and they're going to get rid of Zaha as well too. They have to.
They lost against Sheffield United.
I mean, they have to.
1-0.
They have to take what they can get for Zaha, right? They're going to ruin him. Zaha's going to refuse to play at this point.
I mean, he's playing, but
He's just going to risk injury
he's
at this
just
point.
he just doesn't want to be there.
No.
It's like a Pogba.
And he's going to
type
risk
of-
injury at that point. And when and it's unfortunate for him when you're playing and when you're thinking of not playing specifically not to get injured, you get injured. West Ham, are West Ham ever going to do anything more than 8th or 9th or 10th? I want to see it.
They just unless they get
I
some
want to
players
see
out of their team.
Lanzini. Payet, when he was there, was incredible to watch. I think Payet was in a single-handed...
Payet was one of the most entertaining players in the league.
Payet, Lanzini's an incredible player.
Lanzini's so hit or miss though. He'll either put on a 10 out of 10 or you won't even know
Drop
he's
a
there.
Jordi Alba negative too.
And they brought in Haller, who's a good signing. It's just
And injured so far.
that team, they players like Chicharito, and who's
They
another
brought in
player?
a lot of players past the
Felipe
prime.
Anderson is a hit or miss. Also, he'll either put up a great 10 out of 10 or he won't even show up. So I think West Ham. I think Watford are going to turn it around now.
And they got
I think they'll at
Sarr.
home.
Sarr's going to have to step up.
At home against West Ham, I think they'll be fine. Liverpool, Arsenal, we already went over.
Bournemouth, Man City.
Man City are just too good.
I
think it'll be 4-0, or 4-1, 5-1.
You have to think after the whole VAR debacle with Spurs.
Yeah, they're not going to be too happy. Spurs at home against Newcastle shouldn't be a problem for them.
I think one of the more interesting games of the week is definitely going to be this Wolves-Burnley game.
Yeah, both.
Wolves something to prove, and Burnley's been on fire.
Well, they kind of got outplayed last week against Arsenal, but they look good in their opening game. And Ashley Barnes against Raul Jimenez,
clumsy.
I hate Ashley Barnes.
Uncoordinated and as frustrating as it may be. And like Socrates said, it's harder to defend against them than it is against Liverpool, which was taken out of context. Because I get what he's saying. It's harder to defend against a team who takes the ball 15% of the game and just clumsy.
Just try and kick it and run
clunky,
and get lucky.
Just physical, not really skilled at all. No rhyme or reason to it. Just hoping for the ball to bounce the right way. Hanging on for dear life and just defending for their lives.
Well, this is a big game for Wolves. This is a big game for Wolves because Wolves just proved that they could still hang with the top 6. But it's playing these games like this at home against Burnley.
They can't play down to the competition. And if there's a team that just plays a totally separate style of football than Wolves, it's Burnley.
Yeah, 100%.
So, certainly an interesting week of games ahead. Certainly an interesting season ahead.
Big season ahead. A lot of players looking to prove a point this season.
I mean, this is like we had said, this is one of the most wild transfer windows in the Premier League that I've seen in a long time. Like players like Kitrom, David Luiz, like so many
just
different names, unexpected signings.
Yes.
I mean, Aston Villa splashed the most cash, I think, out of all the Premier League clubs, and they just newly promoted. They pulled a Fulham. And that's why I love watching the Premier League. It's the most competitive league in the world. In what other league do you see a newly promoted side come in and spend more than any other club?
Yeah.
In what other club?
2 years in a row now that we've had a team that has come in from the Championship spend over 100 mil going into the new season. Fulham came in dead last year.
And then Liverpool, who finished second with one of the greatest seasons in their history, in the history of the Premier League, spend a total of not even $3 million. And the newly promoted teams come in and spend over $100 million. It's
crazy.
It's just wild. It's absolutely
Nothing
wild.
Like
and that's why it's the most competitive league in the world. That's why I enjoy watching it, love watching it. Love playing soccer more and more as I watch the games.
Once you get into the Premier League, and once you even just playing FIFA, that's how I got into soccer.
So I got to play FIFA against you.
Playing FIFA, I started to learn everything about the players and then I started to watch more games on TV, and soccer is just a never-ending.
I did that.
A never-ending road. It just goes. It's one way forever.
It's back when
there's more and more because you're talking not about. And that's the difference between soccer and American sports like football and basketball. It's only here that you hear about it. But every other country in the world plays this sport. There is nothing. It's just a never-ending. You're finding out more and more. There's deeper things that you can go into. It's crazy.
It's
nothing.
That's the thing. It's like people like baseball, football. I played 3 sports growing up. I played soccer growing up. Yeah. Basketball, football, baseball.
Played everything.
If you're over there, I mean, there's some basketball players, some cricket players, some rugby players, a couple of them. There's those, but mainly when you grow up, what is the one name that you're playing soccer year round? We have basketball courts, Rucker Park in New York, and in Venice Beach and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
You have 5-a-side pitches everywhere, whether it be Denmark,
Europe,
Iceland,
South
Portugal,
America,
Spain, Brazil. It doesn't matter how
South
it looks.
America, bro. They put soccer fields in the middle of favelas. It'll be buildings.
They'll play with fruit. Homes. They don't even need a ball.
They'll play. Yeah, they don't use a ball. You go to you go anywhere in West Africa or Southern Africa, even East Africa, just Africa and the Southern Asia, Southern Eastern Asia. It's just you can go anywhere in the whole entire world, and there are fields everywhere. Soccer is the biggest sport in the world by a million. There's nothing that even touches it. It's such a great sport to get into.
And that's why the World Cup outdoes the Super Bowl gets 100 million views, a couple 100 million views, and then you got the World Cup that'll do billions upon billions upon billions of people watching it.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
Millions of people will watch the Super Bowl, but billions of people will watch the World Cup.
It's incredible. All right, Jake, that's all the time we got. I appreciate you joining me.
Anytime, brother.
It's gonna be.
I'll be back soon. Don't worry.
Yeah, we'll have Jake back on. I'm gonna try and bring on at least one guest a week coming up in the podcast. I mean, I'm gonna try and get one a week myself. One guest a week would be perfect, or one every 2 weeks is probably gonna be the more sustainable way of doing it. My website will be launching soon. I'll be writing a little bit for Last Word on Sports pretty soon. And I'll be doing blogs on the website as it is coming up, and the YouTube will be restarting when FIFA 20 launches, and I'll be getting the PS4 for that. So I give my boy Jake the word.
Yes, sir.
And also we get some Pro Clubs action as well too. So thank you guys for listening.